going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident in our offense.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. We continue to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, so a portion of everything that we make goes over to them. We've been a little out of pocket. For those that don't follow us out on social media, unfortunately, my dog passed away. He was only 6 years old, and it was kind of just, we didn't expect it to happen, but all of a sudden, next thing we know, he was gone. And so so wanted to just take a day, get everything back together, and then come out and crush it. And this is fun. So thank you guys so much for coming back. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, we're giving away a Darnell Wright jersey. You just have to rate the show 5 stars where you get your podcast, which is Apple Podcasts. Spotify, you can always send it over to us out there. But PayPal, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, great, Brad. This is my favorite time of the year. I think the 53, man, this is like what we've been waiting for with like this is why we all liked preseason so much. This is why we were glued to the TV screen during it, is to get to know like who are these 53 guys that we're gonna have for this team. And it was a lot harder than I thought. Like, I don't know if last year was this hard, but like there were so many times when I was like, okay, like this guy like played well, but also like there's some games he didn't play well, and then you kind of have to get in the minds of Poles and Eberflus and be like, all right, what are they gonna do? So I'm excited.
No, I agree with you, because a lot of them I'm like, I would do this, but then Poles might do this. And I think that's where it's challenging, because I saw some people on Twitter say, this is the easiest roster cut down. There's always something that's going to happen, and there's always something that the Bears have the first waiver pick. So they're going to be signing some players that we know and claiming some people off of waivers. That's what we will be looking for. But let's see. I'm going to actually, because like I said, we were going to cover it right after the game on Saturday, but today, this is the Super Show. We're going to be breaking down the recap. Also, there was some new news that just came out about Alex Leatherwood, about PJ Walker. I have my phone out just in case we get another update out on Twitter, because it seems like the Bears are starting to cut some players, and they'll be cutting more tomorrow, and then they'll eventually get down to it for the final 53 on Tuesday. But PayPal, let's get into the game recap for the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bears lose 21-24, but the score does not matter in preseason games. But PayPal, we got to talk a little bit about the starters. The starters, like, I tried to stay off of Twitter during the game, but when I got back onto the game, I'm like, did the Bears, like, everybody was going crazy. Twitter was going nuts. I guess, what's your impression? Because the Bears started their starters. What did you think about those starters?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I think I felt what everyone was thinking about. I was getting a little worried. I think that the first 2 drives, it's like Bears go 3 and out with Justin Fields with like a weird like late pass to Cole Kmet, and the offense just did not do anything. And then our defense just could not hold the Josh Allen offense. They just kind of went by easy peasy. Of course, I mean, our boy Rasheem Green did. I don't know why he's on the team.
Look good, magic.
Yeah, it did not look good. Wow, look at that. But yeah, it was kind of shocking. I was like, okay, this is not looking good. But then came out again. Justin Fields led the drive to basically lead Tyson Bagent, who almost got a touchdown, but they got the field goal. And then they held Josh Allen once again. So it was like 7-3, like we kind of were, it's the Bills, and being 7-3 against the Bills is not a bad perspective to have. But obviously you hope for, a Justin Fields, how he had 2 touchdowns before.
I agree. I rewatching it because you came over and we watched just the starters play together because you weren't able to watch it live. And watching it, it's like, oh yeah, there were 7-3. But yeah, when you watch the game and you see what happened, like you said, it's not great. Like Justin Fields going 2 for 6. And overall, the running game, Khalil Herbert, 2 carries, -1 yards. Deonta Foreman, though, 2 carries, 11 yards. And honestly, did pretty well, but had that 1 carry for 9 yards. And yeah, offensive line kind of struggled. Justin Fields, like PayPal, I don't know about you, but I wasn't that taken back by what Fields did because it seemed like if you listen to the show, like, yes, there were some good things that he's done, and the connection with DJ Moore is there, but he's always been like this offseason, he has been a little slow and he's had some good games. And I think honestly, since the Claypool injury, it seems like the training camp practices really started stacking up where they just haven't been fantastic. And I
Yeah.
think that's eventually like what kind of caught up to this, where is Justin Fields going to be better this year? Yes. But
Mhm.
how much better is the big question, where I think a lot of people and a lot of fans go to 4,000 yards. We're finally going to do it. But if he looks better, it's 3,000 yards. And that's not a bad season at all.
Yeah.
Especially if he's running for 1,000 yards, which you got your wish. He ran, and I was like, no, PayPal. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like, 3 times? Yes, 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times, and, like, I wanted a big run, and you still saw he has that quickness, and it's kinda fun to see him escape the pocket. At least I liked him seeing him escape a little bit, but I think the big thing is that it is preseason, and that was only, like, 1 quarter, you know? I think with Justin Fields, with any quarterback, they kind of have to get in a rhythm, and I think he didn't find the rhythm he was finding the rhythm, and then they took him out, to not finish the drive, so I think you can't overreact of, like, Justin Fields, yeah, 2 for 6, like, terrible game. It was like, no, it wasn't that bad of a game, it's just he was kinda getting in the rhythm. It's against a really good offense, or defense, I'm sorry, and man coverage, I wonder if that has something to play with it. The Bills is
Hmm.
definitely a heavy man coverage team. So I wonder if that has something to do. Maybe Fields doesn't like playing against man. But yeah, it's the second best defense, at least of last year. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are all good points. And I think too, like when you look at the Bears team and they had nothing but backup offensive linemen except Cody Whitehair's playing left guard, and then you also have Braxton Jones is the only constant that we've seen. Now that's got to
Yeah.
be insanely difficult, especially from the run blocking. And we always say this, run blocking is continuity. It's knowing where your brother's at next to you. And when you can't develop that, what are you going to do? And
Mhm.
that's where we'll talk a lot about the offensive line when we break down the 53. But yeah, I think overall, I'm not like panicked. Like I saw people on Twitter saying like this is the worst. Like, oh no, we're going 3 wins again. It's like it's if your expectations was this was going to be the greatest offense of all time and he was going to be this great person, you would be disappointed. But I don't think it's going to be bad. I don't think it's going to be terrible. If it is bad, I will be shocked. But
Yeah.
that's where it's going to be very interesting. And Broski in the comments told you PJ and Leatherface were going to be flipping burgers soon. Heard Wendy's is hiring. Yeah, and hey, I think that they raised their minimum wage, so they're going to be living good. I think it's like 15 an hour, 16 an hour there. So,
Hey, I'm getting
yeah.
hungry. I love
Yeah.
Wendy's. So, yeah, I mean, I would hope to see that. That'd be awesome.
Oh
Like, "Hey,
man,
I know you
I
guys."
I had someone bring over euros today, and euros are like so
Yep.
freaking good. Just it
Yes.
was the Costco euros. If someone hasn't gotten the Costco euros, get them, cook them up. They cooked them on the stove too. So like I would always use the microwave. I'm like,
Oh, really? You do the microwave? You gotta
I
do the stove. You have
well,
to crisp it up.
I like because I'm just usually I do it like as I'm working or something. Like I'm just gonna make something fast. I just chuck it in the
Yeah.
microwave. But man, it is so freaking good. Anytime that you get some euros, it's just a good
It's a good
freaking
time.
time. But PayPal, let's flip to the defense because you talked a little bit about it. I know my take is just stop the freaking run. Like, that is the biggest piece. Is I just want to stop them. And it seems like there's just not a giant mass in the middle, and they're just running up the middle. And it's like, well, where are these linebackers? Edmonds is out there. Edwards is out there. Sanborn's out there. Why aren't we stopping them? The starting D tackles are there.
Yep.
We have Rasheem Green, the greatest defensive run stuffer of all time out there. And we're not able to stop them. So I think that's where it's just kind of frustrating, where stop them.
Yeah. And honestly, with that, like, personally for me, when I was watching the game, it's not a Justin Jones problem. It's not an Andrew Billings. They're doing their job. At least whenever I watch the game, they're doing their job. The linebackers, they're in position. I just think it's these ends. I think Yannick he's actually not a bad run defensive player at all. It's just the Rasheem Green and Dominic Robinson. Like, I don't understand, Brad, why they were just kind of, even the first preseason game, of just like, okay, these guys are good, we are signing them. And it just blows my mind, because I really think that's what's going wrong with this defense, is like Andrew Billings and Justin Jones will do their job of holding the guys. And it's like, these edges need to penetrate and, tackle the running back. And they just can't block shed their guy at all. They just kind of stand there and do nothing.
And that's the thing too, is when they're in, they do nothing. And I think that's the frustrating part. We tweeted this out, where Dominic Robinson's pass rush win rate, which isn't like getting to the quarterback, it's just simply beating the guy in front of you, was a whopping 0%. He did not beat his guy, according to PFF. And when you watch it, he didn't. And the only pressure he got was because the guys rolled out, where it's like, that's the quarterback creating the pressure for you. And then you see Gibson. We got Mr. Rivera out here that's saying, I might subscribe. You should. And with Gibson's was, I believe it was 23.4. You can check me out on Twitter. That's on Unbearable Sports. That's where we tweeted it out. I believe it was 23%. It was insane. It's better. It's a better percentage than Terrell Lewis and, oh God, who was the other one? Terrell Lewis and Jalen Harris combined. It was it's insane. Like, he's been going absolutely crazy. But before we get into the Trevis Gibson rumors, I got to talk it over with you. Tyreek Stevenson, that's your boy. You love Stevenson. What did you think? He had 2 holds and an interception. What's your feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what a lot of these rookies have not shocked me in any way. Of like, yeah, he's a rookie. He's going to do that. He's going to have the holding still. Like, he's still learning the game, what he cannot do. But Brad, we were hoping for that interception before the regular season. At least I was.
Yeah, same.
To basically be like, hey, I caught that first ball. Now I'm good to go. Because I think that's what he really needed. Because after the first 2, like the first preseason game and the second, he was in the right position to get an interception, and then he just fumbled the bag. So, like, he could have had 3 interceptions this preseason, but he had the one, and I think that's super important for his growth. And just now he doesn't have to have that mental barrier, I guess, in his head of being like, hey, you still got to get that interception. He's got it now, and he shouldn't be dropping anymore.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is with him, I think that there's going to be high highs and low lows, where I think he's going to make mistakes like he did in the preseason and also in training camp. He's showing he's learning. And I think that's what's so powerful, where before, if we saw someone that was struggling, like a Kyler Gordon, we had question marks because it never seemed to get better, right? When something bad happened last year, it just kept happening. With Tyreek Stevenson, it seems like he's like, all right, this was bad. I'll try and fix it. I think he's going to be one of those where he's going to have 2 picks a game, like in a game. And then the next one, he's going to let up a big play, and we're going to go, gosh, Tyreek, what are you doing?
Right.
Stuff like that. I think he's going to be high highs, low lows, and that's just going to be the season. And for a rookie, I will take that. I will take the high highs. And I can't wait to see what he can do the following season, because I just think, like, he's showing a lot of that potential out here.
And Brad, I think we both loved his. I don't know if you want to call it celebration, if you want to call it
I love trash talk. I
taunting,
love
trash
trash talk.
talk.
Yeah.
But he's pointing to I imagine it was their quarterback at the time, like with his middle finger. He wasn't pointing with his pointer finger. He's pointing with his middle finger at him, and you could read his lips what he was saying, and it was awesome. I think that confidence as a rookie is just awesome, and he seems like we compare with Gordon. Gordon kind of seemed almost scared still, like in the beginning
Yeah.
of his career. Like he just didn't seem like he was fully confident. Tyler Stevens are already doing that, so I think he's confident. He already feels comfortable. He has to work on those things, like we said, but yeah, like a strong physical corner. Like he just has to work out like what he can and can't do. Like how physical can he get? I think is what he's got to learn in the NFL.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also Cornelius was saying, yeah, Tyreek is the least of the Bears' worries. Stopping the run is yes. Because if we can't stop the run, then yeah, it's going to be a very, very frustrating season for sure. But let's go to someone that is frustrated. It seemingly called a trade request in the middle of the game. Travis Gibson, trade rumors that he's requesting to be traded. I think that we've talked a little bit about this where, to me, if you can get something for him like halfway decent, sure, right? Why not? But to me, it's how can you, as a coach, look at the games and say Travis Gibson and Terrell Lewis aren't better than Dominique Robinson and Rasheem Green? We have 50 people in the live chat right now. I guarantee you all of us would say
everyone agrees. Yeah,
everyone agrees.
Yeah, Brett. I mean, I think we needed that moment of silence there, just to like let it seep in, because it's like I think everyone feels that way. It's like you watch the game, and Eberflus even said like nice things about Travis Gibson of how hard he works, and just how he's played. He had good plays like this game. So like, why the heck is he not playing? And like honestly, Brad, the only thing I can think of is like, is it like a scheme thing? Like is he just not trying in practice? You know what I mean? Like, is there something just behind the scenes that we just can't see? Or like, is he thinking that he's gonna get a bunch of money and they just don't want to like have to pay him? Without giving him like a extended contract. Like, I don't know, but I hate it because we love his. I love it. Like when he got a sack, when he got the turnover, like this game, it was like
you see everybody.
Why? Yeah, you see everyone love him, and it's like, why is he not getting? Why is he not getting the job?
And I also looked at it too from last season, right? What was our pass rush win rate last year? And Sam Kamara, if everyone remembers him, had like 18%. And that was the highest, but he was going against the true scrubs. The next highest was Travis Gibson again. And to me, I'd rather have disruptors than anything else. I'd rather have people that can get by people than just kind of hold the line. And what would you rather have? To me, I want people out there so that your young secondary can then make big plays. And that's where, to me, I really want to see the Bears keep Travis, right? We're going to be breaking down the 53, and we'll talk about that, what we do believe that the Bears will do. But yeah, and also hearing some more Bears media talk about Travis Gibson in the locker room. They're like, he's just a good guy. Like, he's just a normal guy. And he seems that way. He just seems like a normal guy. And I know I'm showing my Marvel fandom with this, but I don't know if I have much Marvel fandom anymore after Endgame, but still, it's like he seems like just a normal dude. And I think that's what's so cool about him. But let's continue talking about the backups and just kind of putting a bow on this game. Was there any backups that really stood out to you in the second, third, fourth?
Yeah, so I've always been kind of a Kendall Williamson guy. Like he hasn't shown too much, but he's been all right, but I feel like this game he really showed a lot more. Like he had a handful of tackles that is like, oh wow, he hit him
Did play
hard,
well.
or yeah, he just was there in the right spot. Like I saw number 36 a lot more on the screen, getting tackles, being just kind of a game wrecker. And something I love about him is he's really big. Like he's got some big arms
He
and like
is.
he's a big safety and like he seems like he's quick enough too. So I would love to if they could kind of, you know, make him a little bit better, work on him a little bit. It'd be awesome to have a hard-hitting safety like Kendall Williamson because he's a big boy.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I actually had him off my 53, but I put him back on after that game because I did the 53 before that last game. So I'm like, he hasn't done anything because he
Mhm.
really didn't do too much. And him being a 7th round pick, I feel like the Bears could potentially just be like, you know what? He's gone.
Yeah.
And because they did that with Zachary Thomas, who was an even higher draft pick than Williamson.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm just kind of flipping through some of my notes. I forgot to bring up Unique because we got to see a little bit of Unique with the starters. Thought he was pretty good. But also, yeah, I kind of want to go to the offense as well, where Roshan Johnson does look like the guy. Like he was. I think he pancaked someone. Like I put this out there that he played better than Kellen Deesh because Deesh to me, I'm a big fan of him, but not last game. I thought that he had a
Yeah.
bad game. He was constantly destroyed. I forgot who the defensive end was. I think it was Kingsley Jonathan, the former Bear, that just kept on wrecking him. But yeah, Roshan did great. Roshan was very good and like good pass blocking. He was able to demonstrate
was.
that, and he always can lower his head and just start pounding the rock. So
He's
those were some of the big ones that kind of jumped
Yeah.
out to me.
Yeah, he's the definition of a dog. Skokes always on the same page as Skokes. But I also think, yeah, Tyler Scott was also a fun guy to watch, like confidently return the ball. I think we haven't seen like a new face like securely do punt returns in a long time. Since like Pettis, which obviously it's like Pettis can do it, but he just doesn't do anything with it when he gets the ball.
Yeah.
Um, so it was cool seeing that kick return. He could have easily gotten that kick return touchdown, Brad. I was so mad when they showed the replay. It was like, why did you cut inside? Like if he stayed in the outside,
For real.
he could have
Like,
easily ran past that kicker. It was like, dude, you already ran past like those three corners. Why can't you just run past the kicker? So
yeah, I'm curious if he was like kind of just, in the moment. And I think
yeah,
that's the thing that scares me too, is he runs inside. He runs inside all the time where I'm like, you're gonna get yourself killed. I still
yeah,
am nervous that he's gonna get himself killed. Not actually, but like still
he's
whenever he runs, he just gets decked and he gets smacked. And yeah, like the punt return. Why is it so hard for us to find a punt returner now and someone who can actually just like return it halfway decent? I feel like it's challenging to catch one, but you're in the
yeah,
NFL. That's where it's like, okay, I get it. Like I can't go out there and just start feeling punts. Like I get it, but you're in the NFL. Like there needs to be
right.
some people out there that can get it. And I know that it can be in the air and it's windy and everything like that. It just sucks that we're struggling so much with it. But any other pieces from the second team
Hey,
that,
one guy, Brad, that second team that I thought there's some guy Mike. I mean Baskerville again just had a,
yeah,
had a good he had a good game. He had a good game. Like nothing crazy, but he had a good game. But one guy that just jumped out and I thought he's just a guy that was gonna get cut was Michael Ajamudier. He
yeah,
like
yeah,
Yeah, he went off. Like it was for a period. That's all I saw on the screen was just Michael Ajamudier. Like he was just always on the screen, always making plays. I think he probably only let up one catch after like 4 or 5 attempts like on his side.
yeah.
Man was just on lockdown and it was fun to watch. And so that's someone that it was hard like when making this 53-man roster of like this guy just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and Oliver saying Baskerville wearing the green dot. Like, yeah, he looked good because was looking at Michael Walker, McCall Walker, whatever we want to say with Mykal. Michael Walker, to me, I did not like what I saw out of him. I thought that he missed a handful of tackles. There was one play, I believe it was like third down. I have it jotted down in my notes. Yeah, big whiff on a hold. Like it was a hold overall, so they were able to call it back. But when you re-watch the play, Walker versus the running back, and he just
Yeah.
had a giant whiff. And I felt like I saw a lot of those out there with it. So, yeah, Baskerville, good preseason, good training camp. We'll see if he makes our 53. And that's where I'm really excited to see. But any other pieces before we wrap up the last preseason game and put a bow on it? I'm looking at it, and there's not much else. But I do have Ojemudia, where he always seems to make a play. But does that translate to him covering? I think is the big question. But yeah, I'm still not sold on our returners. That's what I saw. I jotted down.
Nasima Webster was very active. That was something that was cool, and it's always hard for me to be like, all right, are they being nice as coaches, and are they force feeding Nasima Webster the ball to either
Yeah.
see, hey, is he going to be on make a roster spot, or are we force feeding him the ball to be nice and give some other teams some tape? You know what I mean? Like it's like the whole reason like why we played PJ Walker. Is it like just to give him some tape so then other guys can watch him, or is it to just be like, hey, we're actually trying to figure out if he's going to make this, the 53-man roster or not? And he looked good, Brad. I still think he looks heck of a lot better than Dante Pettis. So that's all I'm saying.
He does, but the thing I get nervous about is there's a play that I was just going through my notes that I jotted down where he whiffed on a block, or like he was just kind of bullied.
Blocks.
And I think that's where it gets me nervous. Now, yes, we don't need the greatest pass blocking wide receivers of all time or run blocking, but still, like, you need to at least be able to hold your own. And it just doesn't, I haven't seen him hold his own in the running, where to me it is a problem, where your run blocking just shouldn't be a problem. That's my guidelines, right? Like, I don't need the greatest beast of run blockers out there. Just don't suck. And it seems like Simba Webster cannot hold his own against the NFL when it comes to run blocking because he is a smaller guy. And it totally makes sense. You don't see a lot of Darnell Mooney's where Darnell Mooney is a smaller guy. He can hold his own in run blocking. And that's where I get a little bit nervous. But let's flip over to this. We are right at the halftime of our show. Let's flip over to this 53-man roster. Like we said, Alex Leatherwood cut, and also with PJ Walker and Gabe Huey out of Pittsburgh. He was the one that went down, so it was an injury designation. Kind of no surprise there if you watched the game, unfortunately. But let's talk about this. Let's go into our offense. And I'm curious to see also chat, because I want to see who people have. Now, this isn't as shocking, the quarterback position, because the quarterback position, we know PJ Walker has been released, but PayPal, you and I, correct me if I'm wrong, both had PJ Walker being released. Correct.
Yep. Yeah, I had PJ Walker being released. Yeah. So, and Leatherwood. So
okay. Yeah.
For the record,
Leatherwood I didn't. So I did update that right before the show and then made some switches and changes around. But do you have Peterman on the practice squad?
Yes, I have Peterman on the practice squad, and then Justin Fields, Tyson Bagent. I think especially after last game, it was like you just saw PJ Walker did not do anything. I mean, he can throw the ball really hard, but that's about it. There's just parts when they'd cut to the bench, and it seemed like Peterman, like Justin Fields would be asking Peterman questions, and same with Tyson Bagent. Like they'd be listening to Peterman, and then PJ Walker would be off kind of the side. And it's like Peterman, like that's his job. Like, heck, he's not gonna he probably won't get any playing time, but he's there to coach these guys and just help them in the film room. So like that's why I was like, okay, Peterman's gonna make the practice squad. He's he helps in that way.
I agree too. And also with the new rule about having the third quarterback on the team, if everybody goes down, then who comes in? Nathan Peterman. And I
Mhm.
will say this too, because this is something that has been very difficult. I know when we had Gervon Dexter, we called him Gervon Dexter, and not a lot of people like that, like right when we drafted him, because we didn't know what his name was. Tyson Bagent is I don't know why I keep calling him Bagent. And also you just did too, and it just reminded me of that where I'm like, Bagent, Bagent, man. I don't know why that's so hard. I think it's just seeing it.
Imagine sounds better.
I like Bagent. Bagent just it's too wordy, too mouthy,
Yeah.
but it's great. And I think that's the big piece is it makes sense. Would the Bears actually put Bagent in the practice squad? And I think the answer is no, because people have seen what he's capable of. And yeah, you can make a spot, and it makes sense. If you can have Nathan Peterman as the emergency backup quarterback, then and the whole point of having that QB2 is so that they can help out the starting quarterback. If you can have the emergency quarterback, then why? Like, if somebody wants to yank Nathan Peterman off of the Bears, so be it. Like, so be it, right? And it would kind of stink because he's kind of the mentor in the room, but Peterman's gone, then it's like, okay, yeah, let's just go grab someone else now.
Mhm.
Let's go grab someone else to talk about it. Because if we
Yeah,
go
we'll
down to our
grab
third
Colt
quarterback
McCoy or
again,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll grab Colt
McCoy. He's probably still
McCoy.
playing somewhere. Like, grab someone that can come in and play it, just like kind of be that mentor. So I think it's a great move. But let's go over to the running backs.
So
This is
that's
what I'm
2.
curious about. I
That's
am
2.
curious about who do we have as the running backs? What does everybody have out there in the chat on YouTube? Who are we keeping at the running back position? PayPal, how many running backs do you have?
So just a quick thing. The reason why I did this, I took a lesson from last year's one because there's a lot of
Okay.
surprises when I made mine of like, hey, we're a running team, right? We should have 4 running backs, right? Because we run it a lot, right?
Yeah,
No, we had 3 last year. So
that's a
I'm
good
going
point.
3 this year.
It's a very good point.
I have 3.
I wanted to have 3. And I see a lot of people with 3. I still went with 4.
Okay.
And I take it you have Herbert, Homer, Johnson, and as
Yes.
your 3.
Yes.
So I kept Deonta Foreman. So that was the big one. And then, yeah, AC Adam, I agree with him where keeping all the backs, Ebner practice squad. We'll break down some practice squad later on. But to me, that just kind of makes sense. Foreman, though, I could see getting cut. Like if he gets cut, I totally get it. But he's one of those people where I go, I could just see the Bears. This is one of I can see the Bears wanting to just keep him because they did sign him and he was a pretty good backup.
Yeah.
So that's
There's
where
nothing wrong with him. I think he's good, but I mean, you kind of touched that on the last show of like Roshan Johnson fills that Deontay Foreman spot. It's like that bigger back that can block, that can do everything. That's what Roshan he proved this preseason is he can do that. So like in my mind, I was like, is he worth that extra roster spot where we could, add someone else in? I don't know if Foreman is really a special teams guy. So yeah,
yeah.
I had Homer where Homer, if you watched him on like any punt return, kick returner, man was always down there and he would seal his side and they would never run like the punt returner would basically run the other way because they would see Homer and be like, okay, crap, I can't go that way. I'll go this way.
Yeah, I like he plays well, and there's a reason why they gave him a 2-year deal. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, well, they just also released PJ Walker after having a 2-year deal, so we'll see how much it actually
Yeah.
matters. But yeah, I think Foreman to me is the guy that do they need him? Yes or no? Do they want him? Yes or no? Because he is very redundant, I do believe. So I see a lot of people in the chats agreeing with you, PayPal going with 3, and I totally buy that. I was like, I just can't.
Hey, it's still 4 guys, people with Foreman out there. So
Yeah,
yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting. Yeah, I see Big Lewis saying 4 running backs. Um, and yeah, and AC Adam Foreman will show all the non-believers. I think that's where it's so hard because he was good, but it is so redundant. And I think that will be the question. Do they find him redundant? But PayPal, let's go over to the actually run. I think fullbacks, pretty simple.
Yeah,
Blazing
I
game.
just have just
Yeah.
Blazing game. Is we don't have what last year where who was the guy? Chase Allen, was it?
Oh, no, Jake
One of the
Tonjes. Jake Tonjes,
yeah,
who
Jake
made it
Tonjes. Yeah,
as
who
the
made the
backup
roster.
fullback.
That was the biggest like shock. Was like, wait, Jake Tonjes, we have 2 fullbacks?
Yeah, because he was like the fullback or like
Yeah.
the backup fullback. But let's go over to the wide receivers. What wide receivers will the Bears keep? Now, I have 6.
I have 6. This was the last minute change. I had 2 last minute changes before we aired this,
Okay.
Brad, and this was one of them. So, I'll go down the list of who I have.
Yeah. Yep. You go
I
down.
got DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Valus Jones, which I think, I think just by watching, you have to say he is going to make the team just with how the coaches are confident in him.
I agree. I had him too. And I think that just seeing Simba Webster and Ford, I felt like there were some ups and downs.
Yeah. And then Tyler Scott, obviously. And then Therese Fountain.
Had a feeling.
We're cutting EQ. We're letting the old guys, Dante Pettis, EQ. We're getting them out. Therese Fountain, welcome to the team. I saw him run blocking. That was not too big of an issue. I think that was the one thing I kind of had to see last of him was like, can he run block? Okay. Like, I'm not looking for an EQ run block, but can he at least do his job? And he did it. So Therese Fountain, welcome to the team. Skokes, I know you're out there.
He said the fountain is flowing. Let's go. So Squeegee has them keeping 5 and not having EQ, not having Fountain. And then Jimmy has them cutting Valus Jones and keeping Fountain and St. Brown. Yeah, and then E King, if they keep EQ just for blocking, that's a wasted spot. Dude can't catch. Fountain is a big body who can actually catch the ball. Let's see what Broski has out here too. Moore, Mooney, Claypool, Scott, Valus, and Pettis. Pettis IR, and then EQ will fill in until Pettis is healthy. It's a good spot. I hate saying this, but I actually have EQ over Fountain. And I think it's just EQ is a system guy. I can't see them wanting to separate from him. And I hated myself for doing that. I was sitting there going, seriously, but Fountain is on my practice squad. And I hate saying it. If someone wants to boo me, I totally get it.
Hey, I see it though, Brad. He's more that system guy. It's like he's got close ties with Lou Getsy. He knows the offense already. It's all that stuff. I think I'm always just like, he can't catch the darn ball and he's a wide receiver. That's always the thing. But it's like, I sadly know he could there's still a chance he's still on this team by Tuesday.
Also, we got some news. Ron just became a member of our YouTube channel. Also, Ron, you have some cool Bears emojis down there too that are exclusive to members as well. So now you can post those out there too. So I actually forgot what some of those are, but some of them are pretty cool. So you can post those out there. But let's go over to the tight ends now. So wide receivers, we had a little disagreement with it, but we were pretty much on the same part. But yeah, we'll see. Also, Jimmy said Fountain will never make it to a practice squad. That is an interesting, because he has balled out. He has shown pretty well. That's where we'll have to see what we can do. But let's flip over to the tight end position. This one, I know that we got a question up top about the tight end position, but PayPal, how many tight ends do you have on this roster?
I got Quattro, Brad. I got 4.
A Quattro? Okay.
Yep.
So I have 3. It felt weird, but I'm like, I have 3 because they really suck. And because the question up top was Steven Carlson, I assume Lachlan Pitts didn't make your roster.
No, he was far away. Yeah, basically, yeah. Cole Kmet, Robert Tunyon, Mercedes Lewis, Stephen Carlson. This is the one I had to think about for a while, Brad, because it's not a sexy pick,
Yeah.
But from what I learned from last year, I think this coaching staff and everyone, they like to they got to fill out their special teams,
It's a
like
good point.
alignment or whatever you want to call it. They got to fill that out. So I was trying to think like they kind of need that bigger body. Stephen Carlson, he has been a special teamer on the Browns. So why not have 4 tight ends? He honestly, he didn't. It was so disappointing that he dropped that catch. But besides that, he's been a pretty reliable tight end. He's not going to do anything extraordinary for us, but he's there. He's going to do special teams, and that's why we're keeping him on the roster.
I'm actually super surprised. I'm looking through the chat. We have a lot of people agreeing with me with 3. And also too, I really like what Philip, our friend Philip says, where polls will be checking the waiver wire closely. Agreed. And I do think that tight end is going to be something that he's definite. This is going to be a position where we might have 3, but then he will add someone, because you made a really good point, PayPal, where he likes to have those extra guys. The special teams, I didn't think about that. And yeah, add someone. I definitely think that's going to be one, because Stephen Carlson, overall, he just was underwhelming. Where when you're going against some of these backups, you should be playing a lot better. Lachlan Pitts looked like he did not belong in the NFL, unfortunately. Where I like what they did. I like that they took a shot with him, but still, Carlson just didn't look that great. So I think he stays on the practice squad, and I don't like saying the practice squad people yet, but I do think he makes the practice squad. But he's definitely first out as soon as somebody comes in.
I agree. It was hard to put him on the list, but I was trying to get in the mind of, the coaching staff. Like, all right, would they sign Stephen Carlson? I don't know. We'll see. I kind of hope they don't and do the route of picking someone off from someone's practice squad or, someone that they cut. But
so let's go over to the offensive line. Like we said, Alex Leatherwood released. He's already gone. But also, too, we tweeted this out at Unbearable Sport. Releasing Alex Leatherwood adds an extra cap hit of an additional $2.622 million, so he will count for $4.49 million this year. And to me, we have the cap space. Just use it, right? So I think that we talked about this before where, hey, if you need to just get out of it, get out of it. The Bears clearly saw a way to get out, and they did just that. So let me know, how many offensive linemen will the Bears keep? How many do you have, PayPal?
I'm doing 9. I was about to say I did the same as Kerry Franklin, but I think he has 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I just counted wrong. Sorry. But yeah, I have 9. I think obvious ones. I got Braxton Jones, Larry Borum, Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright. And then these were kind of, I think, official for me. Lucas Patrick, just his versatility. Center, can play guard as well. Jatiri Carter played phenomenal. And then Doug Kramer was kind of the one I was kind of leaning on and keeping. I think he definitely proved himself this preseason, as well as I think it helps just being a Chicago boy. I think they're trying to create this this atmosphere around this Bears organization of kind of keeping these home guys, these Chicago boys,
I agree,
on the team. So I think Doug Kramer, like, it's weird saying that's an advantage, but I think that's something that kind of will help him get on this team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting though too, because with Kramer, what about his injury? And I see Broski bringing that up, right? Because he is injured and he had a cast on his hand. Now, Eberflus said, "Hey, there's nothing to worry about," but it's like
a cast. Yeah,
it's like, yeah, he's got a cast on, man. Like if I hurt my hand, I'm not wearing a cast, but yeah, maybe it was a precautionary cast on his snapping hand. But he is just a center, right? And I know up top, Broski also said, will Bears sign Dalton Brisner to play the offensive guard, left guard. And
Yeah.
here's something that gets me nervous about Tevin Jenkins, because now we didn't add people to IR in our evaluation. That is something that could happen. I could see Tevin Jenkins going on at, getting the injury tag placed on him and him having to sit out, what is it, like 6 weeks or whatever it is, until he gets healthy, because reports were saying he was walking with a very noticeable limp. And what that reminds me of is I remember going to training camp, seeing Tariq Cohen and saying it on this show, saying, I'd be surprised if he plays. Because even though that he had a full year recovery, seeing how he was walking with a limp, now it's different. It's straining both calves versus tearing an ACL, but still, it just makes you wonder, because when you aren't walking right and you're supposed to be back in a couple, in a month or so, it's just a little bit nerve-wracking. So if the answer is yes, he's going to be out for a while and like months, why not sign Risner? And then you can keep Whitehair at center, because every single center of ours seems to be injured right now. So get Whitehair back, get Risner. I love the idea of bringing in something like that, because everybody seems to be injured on this offensive line. But yeah, I had the same career. I don't think I actually said that. I have the same nine as you do, and it looks like a lot of other people too are the same.
Yeah, honestly, I might be the odd man out, but I really think if Tevin Jenkins isn't playing, put Ja'Tyre Carter on that side. I don't like Whitehair at guard. I really don't like Whitehair at guard. So put Whitehair, keep him at center, and then that's the thing though, Brad. It's just weird. It's, if you see our depth chart, then it's like we have 3 centers. You know what I mean? It just looks kind of odd. But it's like Lucas Patrick has that versatility. I was really debating on like, oh, would I get another tackle or whatever? But I think that is the 9.
I think the hard part about saying versatility with Lucas Patrick is we saw this versatility. It's like you can play at the left guard and right guard position, but you get blown the F up every time that somebody's going after you. So it's like, are you really versatile, or do we just put you at those positions? Because he looked terrible at guard. He was horrific. And that's where it's like, I 100% agree with you, where if we're not going to sign Risner, like, put Carter at left guard. And then the big question, Nate Davis, where are you, my man? Because if there is a question about Nate Davis suiting up week 1, then I agree. And that's where, with the shift that they did do with Lucas Patrick at center, made me nervous to go, all right, well, is there something wrong with Davis? Like, what's going on with this guy? Because,
honestly, it's funny with the Lucas Patrick thing. Like, we were talking about EQ of like, could, can our OC get rid of his former Packer players and his former, get rid of EQ, but then would he have the balls to get rid of Lucas Patrick as well? Which that'd be kind of crazy if he got rid of both of them. But I honestly see why we could get rid of him. It's just like, what our coaching staff actually do. So we'll see.
And Skokes brings up Ben Jones. You are a Chicago Bear. He is good, and he is a veteran. He does bring that veteran leadership. I think the big question is what's going on, right? Like, we have a million centers, but what the heck is going on with the injuries? And the only people that know are Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, and I think that is the hardest part. And we got to cut him out there. Patrick is a waste of time. Yes, and I think that's the hardest part. But PayPal, that's our offensive roster. Let's flip over to the defensive roster, and let's start with probably the most maybe one of the most interesting defensive line. Wow. Should we go defensive end first?
Yeah, let's go on the hardest. Yeah, let's do defensive end, bro.
Defensive ends first. So this is the big question. Maybe I think doing a good show, we should have actually probably done it last, but screw it. We always go defensive ends first. We're going defensive ends. What defensive ends will the Bears keep? PayPal, how many do you have?
Total I have 5.
I have 5 as well. Who are your 5?
I got Yannick, DeMarcus Walker. I hate saying it, Rasheem Green, Dominique Robinson, and Terrell Lewis. I wanted so bad, Brad, to put I had Travis Gibson in there. I have a separate note on my computer saying if this was my list, it would be Travis Gibson.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. And I hope it does, but hopefully we'll see some. I saw Rasheem Green. He did have one play that I was kind of like, okay, he got past his guy. He almost batted a ball down, got a pressure. I was like, awesome. But that was all that happened. Awesome to see Terrell Lewis. I think he could honestly move up in the depth chart of
Yeah.
Just that backup instead of the third stringer.
Yeah, and man, like I had Rasheem Green being cut, and that was mostly me just being frustrated with him. Actually, it was mostly me being frustrated with Dominique Robinson not doing much and being like, it's your second year. You were drafted by the Bears. I can't see them cutting Dominique Robinson, but they could, right? They still could.
Yeah.
He was a late round draft pick. They could cut him. And I believe he was the one that we talked about his contract. Whoever negotiated it, he has like no guarantees. So Green to me is someone that I don't see the appeal. And this was one where I'm like, I'm going to go with my heart rather than what the Bears would do. But yeah, obviously with normally I go with what the Bears would have, but I'm like, damn it. Like I got to do this. But Travis Gibson, with him asking for that trade, makes you think, makes you wonder. But you could also flip it on the other side. Maybe they told him that he is going to be on the team, but he's not going to get those starting reps. Also in the report, they did say it was brought up about going back to the 3-4 system, about standing up, which is weird because at Tulsa, he had his hand in the dirt. So that might be something that maybe he just wants an opportunity to get more playing time. And he's probably looking at the same film that everyone else is seeing and going, you're putting Dominique Robinson in front of me. You're putting these other players where I'm making these splash plays. And the Bears clearly don't seem to be a huge fan of him. And my guess is probably because of the run. You have to be able to play the run. You have to be able to get in your spot. And I think it's going to be a coaching decision.
Yeah, Brad, I think I'll be hoping and praying tonight that Travis Gibson is on the Bears. I hope he is so bad. And wait, so who was your 5 then? Was it who's your 5?
Travis Gibson, Terrell Lewis, Yannick, Dominique Robinson, and DeMarcus Walker.
Okay, gotcha.
And also too, Broski said in the comments, Poles might sign a DN too. I think that could be something. Look at the claims and look to see, because we got Kingsley Jonathan last year. See what ends up happening with this. But I know that Terrell Lewis said he would be shocked if he got cut by the Bears, and I would be too. You're talking about a great training camp, and yeah, he didn't have another strip sack last game, but still, he's played well. He's played consistently, and I don't think that you can ask anything more out of a player. And I like rewarding players that come in and day out and perform well. And I also want to say it was Alex Shapiro out of NBC Sports Chicago that did say that Travis Gibson is someone that has impressed him throughout camp. But PayPal, let's talk about the big uglies. I mean, usually that's the offensive line, but man, we're talking about our defensive tackles now. Our defensive tackles. How many defensive tackles do you have the Chicago Bears keeping?
I got 4, Brad. I got 4. I think this is pretty. For me, it was simple. I did 4.
4. I know who you cut. And I'm not gonna like it.
I didn't cut him. I kept him on the practice squad, Brett. Don't worry. Don't worry.
How dare you? How dare you? I'm assuming it's Travis Bell that you got rid of, and you have Billings.
Yeah, he's on the
Dexter,
practice
Jones,
squad.
Pickens.
Don't worry, Travis.
How dare you
he's
even
on the
put
practice
him?
squad?
Like, I mean, I don't blame you because he had his first game was good, but I didn't see much out of him later on. So yeah, the big question is, will Ryan Poles do it? I had the basic. I went chalk. I went 5. I went with Travis Bell being the person in, Andrew Brown and Bravion Roy being cut. and then maybe one of them making the practice squad or them picking someone up. But yeah, Travis Bell, I think it's going to be interesting because to me, he didn't play like someone who you want on your active roster, unfortunately, besides that first game. So I definitely see it.
Yeah.
Do you think that Ryan Poles would do that? Because he does love Travis Bell.
Oh, he does. He
He
does.
loves
But
Travis Bell.
I think it's I think he's just one of those guys I think we're able to put on the practice squad that and not have him, he didn't shine enough where it's like he's going to be picked up. Like, say, if we had Dries Fountain on the practice squad, where it's like he probably would get picked up or something. But yeah, with Travis Bell, I think we're safe to have him on there. But honestly, too, I think what kind of helped me, like, I don't think we'll have DeAnthony Jones on the team, but like he's kind of that he could play D tackle, like he could play that 3 technique. But DeMarcus Walker, I think, is one of those guys that will play inside
That's a
sometimes
good
and
point.
be almost the quote unquote 5th defensive tackle, and kind of play inside there. And honestly, hopefully that means then Terrell Lewis would be on the outside if we did like a pass rush sort of ski like lineup out there of like Terrell Lewis, DeMarcus Walker, and like Justin Jones maybe, and then
Travis
Yannick.
Gibson.
Yeah, Travis Gibson, hopefully.
But you cut him. Yeah. No, I like that. I do like that. I think it does make sense. And AC Adams said, yeah, Bell knows this is a business. I think that is the big piece where a lot of 7th round draft picks you can keep on that practice squad. And a lot of times they don't get picked up. And then other times it's who is the guy that we got out of FAU? Something White, the running back.
Oh,
I was so pissed when the Pittsburgh Steelers picked him off. But he ended up doing like nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if chat remembers him. It was like something.
Hey,
White.
I
He
am
started with a
so
K.
mad. I'm so mad seeing how Darrington Evans did against us. Dude's a beast, and I always thought he was so good. And like,
I don't get that
I
because
don't know why we got rid of him. Like, because he was just a good runner. Like, he was quick, he was strong, and it's like, why do we get rid of him? But
yeah, I think that was the big thing, and also too, maybe it was special teams, right? Maybe they just didn't love the special teams piece before. But yeah. Oh, Kareth White. Thanks, Skokes. Yeah, that's who it was. Kareth White.
Yeah, Kareth White.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how to spell the name either. That's close. I want to say there was a Y in there somewhere.
Yeah, he was fun. He was fun.
He
we
was
have
cool.
a lot of legendary running backs that we could just list off.
Yeah, he was the Treston Ebner before Treston Ebner, where like he was the guy you're like, okay, he could maybe break all these things. He was like the Garrett Wolf. Garrett Wolf was the Kareth White before Kareth White out of Northern Illinois. You were probably I sound like an old person saying this, but like you were probably too young to remember Garrett Wolf.
Never heard of him.
Northern Illinois great Garrett Wolf. But let's go over to linebackers because I think we spoke too soon about defensive ends. I actually think this was actually one of the hardest ones for me to do.
I agree.
It might have been easy for you, but
linebackers. This was the hardest one. I think because the hardest part with this one, there's a lot of defensive players I think that have been kind of injured and we haven't seen where, like a DeMarcus Gates, Dylan Cole, those type of guys of like, would they make the roster even though we have, like we haven't seen them, but it's like, do the coaching staff feel comfortable with them or are they going to go on IR and then are we going to bring in some other linebackers that, in place of them?
Yeah. How many do you have though? You got
total. I have 6.
I had 5. I had some 6. Like this was the one that I just kept going back and forth.
Yeah, I have for Sam, I have Jack Sanborn and then Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Noah Sewell, and then the 2. This was the 2 was so tough for me because I love Baskerville. It just I don't know if he is ready to like be a backup yet. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I think he could still be the practice squad. Like, I think he played phenomenally. I think I put Dylan Cole as the backup Sam because we need a bigger linebacker because Noah Sewell is pretty big. But Dylan Cole and then
he can run
he's
too.
240. Yeah, he's a big guy. Dylan Cole, I think he's kind of that special teamer as at linebacker. And then Mikael Walker, I think he played good. He missed tackles. That's the thing that's kind of like he might be in, he might be out. That might be Baskerville, that might be Gates. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the one that I had like a rotating door on of, is it one of those three?
Yeah, I had 5. I had Baskerville making it, and that was
Okay.
like a last second change. I had Michael Walker in it, but I did not like what I saw. And also too, the rest of his contract is not guaranteed. This is a business. And actually, I forgot to mention this with defensive ends. Even though that we drafted Trevis Gibson, he is the biggest, like we would get the most salary cap by cutting him. Now, do we need to save on salary cap? No, but also we have to keep in mind that a portion of this does bleed into the next season if we have more salary cap. There's a rule in place. You can go on Spot Rack, Google it. So if we have more cap space, we can technically have more cap space next season. That's why it's not just a set designated cap. It's only up to a specific point, though. But I have Baskerville, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, and Noah Sewell. And Dylan Cole to me was just banged up. So ultimately, like, that's going to be a call on Ryan Poles. He could, because he is the veteran. He is, but we saw what they did with AJ Klein. They got rid of AJ Klein, and we saw him last week. And Davion Taylor, I thought he had some ups and downs. And Michael Walker, I just felt like, even though that we just claimed Michael Walker, he just didn't really impress to me. And I think it's a question of, do they think that he can just develop? And I can easily see him making the roster, but I left him out because I had to do a little switching at the very last second. Like, I'm just going to remove him. And, I'm going to put Baskerville. I'm going to add the Hound in because he was playing so well.
Yeah, I think, Walker just missed. Yeah, he just missed a little too many tackles, but he was still there on plays, which is what I really liked with him. You could tell he had speed, but also he was very physical, and he's also a sleeper. He could also help a lot in special teams, where I think that will just bump his stock a little bit. But yeah, that linebacker one is hard because it's like
that
we haven't
fifth
seen
linebacker.
Yeah.
Who is going to be that? I think that is going to be the big question. And watch, they're going to have 6, and then we're still going to have a question who the 5th linebacker is. We'll be like, this is great. This is great, isn't it? But yeah, like it will definitely be interesting to see. But let's go over to the cornerback positioned. So let me flip this over to.
This was the hard one. This is another weird one, Brad, because it was like,
you know what? We're just not going to say which one's hard or not anymore, because every time we do this, we're like, man, this was harder. This was just a giant question mark. I felt
this one was weird because it's like the backups. I like 2 of my favorite.
5.
Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6. This was a special teams choice by me. But and honestly, just looking at what they did last year of how many corners they kept, I kind of just based it off of that. So Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, and this is the weird one. I had Josh Blackwell and Jalen Jones.
Oh,
if they are healthy.
Okay, that's a good.
It's kind of. Because Jalen Jones, like, I think he's great special teamer, as well as Josh Blackwell. I think they're phenomenal. And honestly, Josh Blackwell had a great end of the year last year at slot. And then Jalen Jones is a solid backup corner on the outside.
I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I have both of those on my practice squad. And Jalen Jones, because I had Ojemudia originally making, because I'm like, oh man, he was making plays, and then I was like, no, because they do like Jalen Jones. He was a starting corner for us last season. As crazy as that sounds, he was a starting corner. I have them having 5, and the basic 4, right? Terrell Smith, Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon. I have Greg Stroman. I liked seeing Greg Stroman. He played inside. He played outside. That's where, to me, I liked him. And
It's hard. It's hard for sorry, but Strowman, I liked him years prior, but I don't know why he just doesn't make the team. Like he's like I like him too. Like he plays both, and then he just won't make the team because who knows what. I mean, he is older too. I don't know if that plays into it.
And Squeegee saying, hey, don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, we have 115 out here. I don't know how many likes we have. I should have probably pulled up YouTube. But yeah, make sure to hit it. Broski's right there on board with you, PayPal. It looks like I'm scrolling down through some of the comments. And yeah, like it will be interesting because a lot of them just were injured, right? And then yeah, we have Big Lewis Smith will replace Jalen Johnson. His contract isn't right. I think that's going to be interesting. That will definitely be interesting this year with Jalen Johnson. I am starting to love Jalen Johnson more and more and more. They gave him the VHS camera too. If you guys haven't seen that, go to the Bears page. I love that. Did you see that VHS one?
Oh, it was so cool.
It was so good.
It like made me feel like like they'd have the Chicago Bulls, like they would have the VHS back in the day with like Michael Jordan, everyone. Like it reminded me of like that type of feel of like we're watching like history, you know what I mean? But it's cool.
I love seeing how much people like Khalil Herbert or how much they liked him because you could tell he was always talking to corners and then he was always like zooming in on Khalil being like, "What's up, man? What's up?" and like looking at him. But yeah, let's go back down to the safeties though. I had 5. Right before this, I had 4 because I wanted to make a big declaration about Kendall Williamson. But I made my list Thursday night, and then right before this, I was changing things around. I have Kendall Williamson making it, but yeah, I have 5. Do you have 5 as well?
I need to have 4. That was kind of the cut I made, bringing in. I think having 6 linebackers, I had to make the cut of. Well, not cut. Williamson was still on my practice squad and hopefully not get picked up.
Okay.
But yeah, I just had the 4. And, if Brisker, Eddie Jackson, my thought of it is if one of those guys goes down, then we can bring up Williamson or Braylon Trahan from the practice squad.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's where I did have Kendall Williamson not making the team, just period. Right. And it's like, nah, that's too bold. I was like, that's a little too bold. And he played pretty well last game. He had a good game.
Yeah.
And Trahan just he's got a nose for the ball. But yeah, I had Brisker, Hicks, Jackson, Thomas, and Williamson. Pretty simple there. But yeah, we'll see if they only keep. We'll see how many they end up keeping. Broski with the bold take, he thinks that they only keep 3.
3?
That's interesting.
Whoa.
I don't know about that, but that would be interesting. But yeah, how many can you stash on the practice squad? I think that is the question, right?
Yeah.
AC Adam, Trahan is my Al Afalava. Speaking of random Bears players, Al Afalava, man, I remember when he was starting for the Bears, and I was a kid, and I was like, dude, we got a rookie that's like undrafted or something. Are you looking him up? Al Afalava was
alfalfa came up like the plant. So he's gonna be hard to find. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, it will be crazy to see for sure. But yeah, that is our 53. Like we're going a little bit all over the place, but let's talk about practice squad real quick. I didn't really fill my practice squad fully because I just feel like the Bears every year, even before Ryan Poles, with Ryan Pace would also fill in a lot of these practice squad players later on. And we also don't have a lot of undrafted rookies that are really kind of impressing as we kind of did last season. But yeah, I had, how many practice squad people did you have? Did you fill out the entire time?
I didn't really fill it out. I left a lot of open spaces for bringing in new talent. I think that's something that's going to be, I think is emphasized. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 6 on the offense, and then I had 6 on defense.
Okay, I had.
So yeah, that gives us 4 people to sign.
Yeah, I had Trahan, DeAnthony Jones, Darius Fountain, DeMarquise Gates, Dieter Iselin, and I saw Don was saying he thinks that Iselin might make the actual active roster.
Yeah.
He does play guard and center. It's very,
Yeah. It's
very heavy that
Lucas.
we need.
Yeah, Lucas Patrick-esque, and we could just get rid of Lucas Patrick and keep Iceland. It's kind of
Not gonna lie, Iselin actually played better
Yeah.
at guard, like legit, than Lucas Patrick
Did.
did last season. Hopefully it was just Patrick's injury. But then I had Jones and Blackwell practice squad, but we talked about this could easily be on the active roster depending on what they just think about the injury situation. I think Blackwell's injury, it could be Stroman and Jalen Jones. Kellen Deesh, I still have him out there, but I don't feel good about it. I was just like, we got to probably add a tackle, but I just think that he has been the best out of like the younger players that we have at the tackle position. Nathan Peterman as practice squad, Robert Burns, Stephen Carlson, and Treston Ebner.
Yeah.
Anyone that you
so
had that
I had Ebner getting cut. So
I could see that though. Like
he just has no place on the team at this point. You know, I think we tried him so many times at being like, oh, he could be a kick returner, punt returner. Then he just doesn't get that position because he can't actually run the ball when he's in. I just don't think he has a place for this team. But yeah, I think I had a very similar list. You had Simba Webster, Isaiah Ford. I think Isaiah Ford getting that punt block and kind of making a special teams difference will just kind of resonate to the team. And he had some decent catches out there, but he could be something, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just got cut. And then, Robert Burns, I think he was kind of the reason I only had 3 running backs was Robert Burns is someone I think we could bring up. He is a very powerful runner, and I love it. I think everyone, you just see his energy when he runs the ball. It's awesome. And I kind of took a note of for this offensive practice squad of we need to get a tight end. We need to get some tight end from another team because we do not have a a sufficient 5th tight end. I think Carlson is okay, but he's nothing crazy, Brad. He's definitely could get an upgrade.
You do really need depth at tight end though, because when you get into goal line packages, you need a tight end. Like, do you really want an offensive lineman out there? And I mean, I actually, now that I say that, you could have Borum. And I will say this too, because we did recap the game at the beginning. I do want to say that Larry Borum was taken out with the starters. And I do think that says a lot about what they think about Larry Borum right now. That I do think that they really like him. But I do think though that just having, I mean, I don't think we need like 5, but it's just having like a practice squad player that you can at least like bring up. But yeah, let's see anything else. I think that this was good just to kind of like fly through the list, see what we can do, but they're going to be breaking it down. I think it looks like they're probably going to continue to make some cuts tomorrow. What's good is what I also liked about it too is the Bears didn't add new players after they had to put Dante Pettis on IR, and like doing that I kind of liked because you're already cutting people, you're already getting rid of people. You're not just adding someone in just to get rid of them immediately. So I overall liked it, but it's going to be exciting. Like we said, the 53-man roster is fun to break down, fun to just look into. But PayPal, on Tuesday, I think we'll be live on Tuesday just to kind of break down what exactly happened with the Bears 53-man roster. And we are 2 weeks away from the Bears beating the Green Bay Packers, and I can't wait. So make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. Also, we are giving away a jersey, so make sure to enter to get a Darnell Wright number 58 jersey. Just rate the show 5 stars on Apple Podcast. And if you're watching right now, make sure to like, make sure to also just subscribe, because if you watch it this far, you probably want to see more of our content out there. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.